All right, and we are recording, and we have less than a minute until I'll get started. You know how I like to be on time. If y'all know me at all, you know I love to be punctual or early. Either way is good. I do have everybody muted. At least I tried to. I think I have everybody muted. I certainly want you all to participate. And if you have any comments, feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question or make a comment. And then once you're done speaking, if you could remute yourself, that would be great and help us all out. So my clock just changed to 1900. So let's get started right on time because that makes me happy. So this is the first North Carolina CERT Forum for 2023. Don't know what's come in. Sorry, my dog just barked to come in, but I'm sending Jay to get her, so it's all good. Yep, and as I mentioned, this is being recorded and it will be posted to our YouTube channel probably tomorrow. It sometimes takes a little while for the recording to process, but we will get that out there. So if you have friends who were not able to join us this evening, I will be making that link available where you can see it on the YouTube channel. I guess before I go any further, if somebody could just give me a heads up, I want to be sure y'all can hear me okay. Is that good? You hear me? Okay, great. I see thumbs ups and nodding heads, so that's awesome. Thank you so much for that. All right. Yeah, hopefully this will work. All right. So here's our agenda. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 topics plus some time for Q&A. So I try to keep things, I don't want to go too much more than an hour. However, if y'all have questions and things you want to talk about, I will stay on just as long as you all want to stay on. So I'm here for the duration because I want to hear from you all and I haven't talked to you in a while. So looking forward to this. So we will just get right into this agenda then. So I have now been at emergency management for a good solid 9 years. And when I first started, CERT was under the logistics section. Many of you came and did web EOC exercises with us as supply officers in logistics and got to learn a lot about that. And then in late 2020, I was moved to the planning section. I've had the same job this whole time, but I'm now onto my third section. Plans was great. I'm really a planner at heart, and I love being in that section. And I'm now going to take all of the things I learned in both logistics and planning to this new section, which is called the Office of Partnership Engagement. It's a brand new section. It just came into being as of April 1st of this year. And we are under a new assistant director, Persia Payne Hurley, and I think she is with us. Are you here, Persia? Yep, there she is. She's waving. You may know Persia from the BEOC if you've helped out in any exercises there, or during real world events. We did help out with some non-congregate sheltering back in whatever year that was. I don't remember, 2020, 21, somewhere in there. So she's my boss now and happy to have her here and so grateful that you joined on. Did you want to say anything to everybody, Persia?
Thanks, Sam. I just wanted to thank y'all for being a part of this amazing program because it's led by an incredible leader, as we know, the very capable and multi-talented Samantha Royster. So I couldn't be prouder to see her really expand this program and get it into a place where all of you will be heavily engaged. That's my commitment, and busy. And I expect that there will be a lot more to come. So we've got big plans. I know Sam is going to be telling you guys about it. And I want to say hello to the 93 or so of you that joined me with James Wong in some WebEOC training. I believe that was last year. Yeah. So looking forward to big things. And thanks for letting me be here, Sam.
Thank you, Persia. See why I asked her to come, just because I knew she would say nice things about me. So I appreciate that so much. Hey. Thank you, Persia. And here Jay just walked in the room. So hi to Jay. So under this new section, it includes our VAL, which is a voluntary agency liaison. That's a gentleman by the name of Phil Triplett. I don't believe Phil is with us this evening. And then CERT is under partnership engagement. And then the BEOC, that's the Business Emergency Operations Center, which Persia has led for the last 9 years. And now she has moved up to be over this whole section that has these 3 parts. And James Wong, who many of you know, and I think he may be here. Are you here, James? We spoke earlier. I don't know if he's here or not. James? well, he may join us at some point. Anyway, he is currently the interim program manager for the BEOC or coordinator for the BEOC until that position is officially hired. So that's excellent that we've got James sticking around there, and I think it'll provide some great continuity. So just to give you a little overview of here's our 3 sections and what the voluntary agency liaison does. They work with Phil, works with information sharing between emergency management and other disaster focused voluntary organizations. Some of these are very familiar to you, like the American Red Cross, Baptists on Mission. There are lots of these other nonprofits that Phil works with, and many of them are under the North Carolina VOADS, or the Voluntary Organizations Active in Disaster. So that's the VAL part of it. Y'all know about CERT already, so I don't need to tell you what we do, because you know. And then the Business Emergency Operations Center, or the BEOC, if you're not familiar, that's our private public sector partnership, and they work with business resiliency and information sharing for those different sectors. They also are in charge of the re-entry program for businesses and so forth after a disaster. Say we've evacuated a part of the coast and the businesses want to get back in there so they can get back open again. The BEOC manages that part. So just a quick overview of our brand new section, the Office of Partnership Engagement. Under that, I'm very excited to introduce y'all. There's me. You know that I've been an Army of One for the 9 years or so that I have been here, and I would like to introduce you to Sean Kanoy, who will be coming on in the next month or so, or within the next month. And Sean is definitely here. I see him right there. Do you want to say hi to everybody, Sean? Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Sean Kanoy. My family and I moved to North Carolina back in 2019. Sam and I have been talking about search and rescue for about 4 years now. Been really working closely with Sam in the last 6 months or so.
Yeah.
So this opportunity arose, and I'm super excited to be a part of it, and look forward to meeting everyone and learning a lot more.
Awesome. And I'm super excited to have Sean to help out, because as y'all know, there are a lot of moving parts to the CERT program, and it's just has been a lot of minute things to keep track of for myself. And so he's a part of the equation that's going to make the North Carolina CERT program better than ever. So I'm really excited. And as Persia mentioned, we have some new things on the horizon for CERT volunteers to become even more involved in emergency management across the state. And so we'll get to some of those. Here we go. Oh, so I did publish a CERT SOG, a standard operating guide, back in 2011. And my goal was to update it in 2012, and it's almost done. So it is now going to be the 2013 SOG. I believe it is on Director Will Ray's desk, and that he should be signing off on it soon. It is very similar to the 2011 version. The biggest change is that I really increased the part on how to start a new CERT program. We had a lot of questions regarding that, and just wanted to have some protocols in place so that it was in writing and easy for everybody to understand how to start a new CERT program. We do still have the North Carolina CERT Code of Conduct, and then the responder application if you want to be deployed statewide. They're still in there. If you have already signed those, you do not need to sign them again. I have those on record, and if you're not sure, you can either just sign it again and send it to me, or you could ask if you have done it, and I can look in my records to see if it's there. So, what?
Tony, is that a special SOG? Because we're in 2023 now.
Thank you. Yes, it should be 2023.
I didn't know if that was a special guide or not. Seriously, I
No,
wasn't trying to correct you. I just
it's
didn't know.
the time travel version of the SOG. We're going back 10 years for this one. Thank you very much. One thing that will make deploying our CERT volunteers across the state easier is the use of terms. And I know that we all have a love-hate relationship with terms. It's not always the easiest program to navigate, but there is it's still kind of a new section on a team's profile. And I just wanted to give you just a 1 second, maybe 90-second overview of terms. I'm going to stop sharing this for a second, and I'm going to open terms over here, and then I'm going to share that screen. There we go. So when you first log into terms, this is what it looks like. If you already have an account, you would just click here where it says log in. If it's your first time logging into terms, you click here where it says create account now. So I'm going to log in. It already has my ID and password saved. If you have forgotten your password or your user ID, I can help you with that and help you recover your account if you haven't been in for a while. I can't tell you what your password is, but I can change it and just give you a, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until you go in there and change the password yourself. So this is basically what it looks like. I have a few more things across the top than you might have because of my credentials and stuff that I have in here. And I just heard we have a question on the chat. Let me see if I can get to it. What does it say? Can you read it? Or let me know.
Yeah, the question is there a sign-in roster for this?
Oh, yes, great question for tonight. There is not a sign-in roster. I will have the list of participants, and so except for some that just look like a phone with a number, I can't really tell who you are, but I will be able to save the participants so I know who's here. But thank you. That's a great question. So when you are signed into terms here, the places you will most often go are the calendar to look for training, or what I want you to think about when you come in here is if you go to my account, you'll see your personal profile. And this is where you just have your name, your basic information, home address, work address, that sort of thing. And then if you go up here to response profile, this is something that you may not have filled out yet. There's a whole menu that going down the left side of the screen here, and each one of these takes you to a page that needs to be filled out. So I realize it's a lot of information, but what's great about terms is once you all are in there and you're credentialed as a CERT responder, if say we need to open a shelter in Wilmington, I can send one message through Teams to all of you who are on here, and you all get it at the same time. You can respond to that. It can come to you by a text message on your phone and or an email and or a phone call. So you can choose how you want to receive that. You set that up in your profile. And then you get that information the way that you choose to get it. So I will be asking everybody who wants to be available for statewide deployment to make sure that your team's profile is up to date, your response profile. And I'll probably put together a little kind of a PowerPoint I can send out that walks you through this step by step, because as I mentioned before, we all have a love-hate relationship with terms. So we'll make sure we make that as easy as possible for you. Any questions on the terms part of that? Chat. Okay, good. Put that over there. All right, then I'm going to stop sharing that. I'm sorry, did somebody say something?
Yeah, Samantha, this is Tony again. I hate to butt in, but is this for our team to log in or just individuals to log in? Or is it
Individuals.
both?
It's for individuals.
Where do we log our team in?
So
to
we
execute?
do have each CERT team can log into terms as well, so that if you wanted to use it just to deploy Raleigh CERT, you can do that too. So I think I have gone in there and made teams for every CERT team in the state, and if I'm missing anybody, we'll definitely fix that. And when I do my little primer on how to use teams, terms, teams, I will include that information as well, so you can see your own team members as well as the statewide team. Another great question. Thank you. All right, so coming later this year, I hope in the very near future, we are looking to build the North Carolina CERT Shelter Corps. If you've been around for more than a minute, you know that this is one of the things. Thank you, Andrew. I think we just got applause from Alexander County. Thank you, sir. Staffing shelters continues to be one of the hardest things with the counties and emergency management, and there just simply are not enough people to staff these shelters whenever we need to open them. So we are going to do some in-depth training for CERT volunteers. So what I should also put on here, required training for this will be that you are a graduate of CERT basic training. I forgot that you're my audience and you're already CERT people, but new people coming in, you will need to be a CERT volunteer. And I think most of you already have the basic ICS classes. So maybe the only other additional thing you might need is the shelter fundamentals class. And so I'm looking for a time and a trainer where we can put that on. I think in order to reach the most people, and if it's possible, I would love to offer that virtually so that you all don't have to travel. And that's what I'm working on. So I'm hoping, as you all know, we are in hurricane season, and Tropical Storm Brett was just named today. So we have our second named storm of the year already, and it's only June 19th. So I really would like to get this shelter corps up and running as soon as possible. Any questions or comments on shelter corps? Good. Excellent. So I have another exciting thing I want to talk to you about. And some of you are already familiar with REV-C, the Radiological Emergency Volunteer Corps. This has existed since about 2015, and it really took a hiatus during the COVID years, and I don't believe they've had a meeting since either 2020 or early 2021. But we are looking to revitalize the REV-C, and I'm going to go into a little more detail on that here. Let's see. I have a question here. Someone from Greenville. Where do I begin without having to travel to Raleigh to get training in general? That is a great question, and there are CERT basic training classes offered around the state all the time. And the best place to find those is when you go to terms, which I showed you a few minutes ago. If you go to the calendar, you can search, just put in CERT as your keyword. If you select no months, like you can select only classes in July or classes in August, but if you leave that field blank, it'll show you all of them. For Greenville, off the top of my head, the closest class I can think of is that in July there will be a class in Fayetteville, which I know isn't super close to Greenville, but that's probably the closest class coming up in the next little bit. If we have enough interest in the Greenville area, since we don't have a team there yet, we can certainly put some training together. So for the Radiological Emergency Volunteer Corps, you can see their mission there is to respond to radiological emergencies and events in support of local, regional, and state requests for setup and staffing of radiation screening, monitoring stations at designated reception and congregate care shelters. So reception centers from a radiological event are not super different from shelters that we might set up for hurricane evacuees. The biggest difference is that some of the people coming to the reception center may be contaminated by radiation, and CERT volunteers would not be working directly with those individuals. They would be decontaminated by usually firefighter personnel first, and then they would come to the check-in area, and at that point it runs pretty much like any other shelter. So we would need people to help out with that. We may need people to help out in EOCs, county EOCs in the areas of the nuclear power plants. We have 4 plants in and just across the border of North Carolina. So there's 3 actually within the state, and then 1 just over the line in South Carolina near Charlotte that would affect parts of North Carolina. And I have a slide on this a little later to show you just how much of our state is actually within the planning zones or the emergency zones for nuclear power plants. That being said, this is a very low probability that this would ever happen, and we want to be sure that we have people trained to respond when it does happen. So this is another thing that's kind of being rolled up under the CERT program. It will not be a requirement to be a CERT trained person to do this. And I am looking to tap you all to help build out the Rev C program. The reason being is that although we have many counties, 73 of our 100 counties actually are within a 50-mile radius of a nuclear power plant, we only had about 80 people who were involved in Rev C a couple of years ago, kind of before COVID. And for all of y'all, I have about 3,000 people on my mailing list right now. And so I'm really looking to y'all to help beef up the numbers for Rev C. So you do see that you are required to be at least 18 years of age and have a valid driver's license. Those same ICS classes that we require for CERT are on there. And then there is a separate Rev C training where you learn a little bit about radiation and radiation response and that sort of thing. But it's the kind of thing that could be completed in a weekend for sure. And my better half, Jay, will be teaching a lot of those classes along with his partner, Lauren Smith, who's also a radiological emergency planner with North Carolina. They also have exercises and drills, it seems like all the time from my point of view, and we need volunteers to help with those as well. So we'll be reaching out for those events every year. So with 4 plants to be concerned with, we have 2 having a drill every year. So they swap back and forth, 2 of them this year, then 2 the next year, and they go back and forth. And so we want to get y'all involved with that as well. Just a little more on Rev C. I won't read all of these to you, but I've broken this out by West Central and Eastern branch, so you probably know what branch you are in. And look and see, if you see your county there, then we want you to be part of Rev C. And even if your county isn't there, you certainly can still be a part of Rev C, and you can travel to where maybe events are happening. But as I said, we have 100 counties, and 73 of them are either in the EPZ or the IPZ. So the EPZ is the emergency planning zone, which is a 10-mile radius from a plant. And then the IPZ is the ingestion pathway zone, which is a 50-mile radius from a plant. Did somebody ask you a question? Sorry, I'm just here. Okay. All right, there we go. Great. So obviously that's a lot of counties, and I know we have CERT volunteers in many of these counties. So really looking for some involvement from you guys, and more to come on that.
When your heating and cooling system is about to become extinct, call the experts, air experts. Replace that old dinosaur.
If y'all could just take a second. I tried to mute.
Yeah, Rick Mark.
There we go. I think I got it. Okay, good. Yeah. There we go.
Rick
Okay,
Martin.
Any questions or comments on the Rev C part of things? All right. Great. Well, I hope to see all of you at some Rev C training coming up very soon. And we will definitely be getting into that in the very near future. So we have had a couple of meetings in the last year to 2 years about having a state CERT association. And every time we have talks about it, it seems it kind of falls off of the radar again. I know that most recently, the person who was heading that up, he moved to Virginia. So, oh, I'm sorry, Richard Martin, did you have a question? I see your hand is raised. I'm having a hard time hearing you.
In a dark movie theater.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Can you maybe type your question in the chat? Because I don't want to miss your question, but I just can't. My audio's not coming through loud and clear. So I guess my question for you all is, how much do y'all care about having a state CERT association, which would mean some of y'all standing up and doing some work and spending some time on it? Or is this something we kind of table? Maybe we ask ourselves once a year if we want to do this or not. There are several states that have associations, with Florida being probably one of the biggest and most well organized. And I could tell you more about that if you're interested, but just want to know, what are your thoughts about uh, so Andrew says we could certainly use it. Yep. Any other thoughts? Anybody interested in perusing it? I got a thumbs up from James in Chatham. Oh, so please explain a state association. So some of the benefits would be, kind of one of the biggest ones is to have a state conference so we can bring everybody together for training, and we could even, bring in some other speakers. Also, if the association organizes as an independent 501c3, a nonprofit association, then the association can apply for some grants and things to hopefully get some money for training, or to bring in speakers, or whatever, to buy equipment, whatever you might need. I can't do that as a state employee. I can't. I mean, there are some Homeland Security grants possibly that could be available for a state agency, but they're a lot easier to get to grants that are for nonprofits. And so the association as a nonprofit would be able to do that. I could not be directly involved, like I couldn't be on the board of it because of my job, but I would certainly be available as an advisor and to help out with the association and be as involved as you all want me to be. But it would really need to come kind of, a real grassroots kind of thing from you all to actually make it happen. So I'm seeing several people. Yes, there is a template on how to put it together. Florida has a great template. They've been going for several years now. I have a copy of their bylaws, so that's something, if y'all are interested, we could put that together, and I can share those bylaws, just, not to exactly copy and paste their bylaws, but to use that as a guide for doing something in North Carolina. The state of Illinois also has a CERT association, and they're very successful as well. I'll tell you what, instead of having to, we don't have to answer the question right this second, but if you are interested, I think everybody, well, this is my easier email address, so you don't have to spell out Samantha.Royster. I have an email address of cert@ncdps.gov. And if you are interested in being more involved with the state association, shoot me an email at that address. And I would like to put you all together as a group, whoever, is interested in doing it, so that you can talk amongst yourselves. And again, I'm happy to be a part of those meetings. I just can't physically sit on the board or anything like that for it. Any other thoughts, questions, comments about a CERT association?
Show that email one more time, please.
Yep, it's in the chat. It's cert@ncdps.gov.
Severe weather.
Oh, great. So CERT@NCDPS, that's for North Carolina Department of Public Safety, ncdps.gov. How many states currently have it? Not a majority, I'll say that, but I know Florida has been around a long time. Illinois has one. California either has one or is very close to having theirs completed. And I'm actually going to the National CERT conference in San Francisco next week, and plan to talk to more people about this from other states. There'll be a lot of my counterparts from other states there, and talk with them about what they're doing and how it has helped their state, or what would they do differently, and that sort of thing. So I can have more information. I'll be back July 2nd from that conference, and happy to share more information with y'all then. Andrew says about 13 to 15 states have associations. All right. Well, you have my email there. So if you do want to talk more about a state association, I would like to put a group of you together who would like to spearhead that and kind of take that on. That would be fantastic. That was everything that I had on my official agenda. I know it looked long at the beginning, but I only spent a few minutes on each topic. So now I'm just want to open it up for general question and answer. What's on your mind regarding CERT in North Carolina, your own local CERT, any of those kind of questions? You guys have the floor. Anything? No questions?
Hey, Samantha, this is Earl.
Hey, Earl, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, thank you. I'm curious, how many high schools are still teaching CERT in the high school?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's well over 200 now, and it's growing all the time. So for those of you who may not be aware, there are about 200-ish public high schools across the state that have public safety academies as part of the school curriculum. And it started with fire academies so that students who are interested in a job in the fire service, while they're still in high school, they can take all of the classes that you need to be a firefighter so that upon graduation, they're like ready for a job. And at that point, they can do the live burns and stuff. They don't let high school students do that part of it, but they can do a lot of the other physical training and all of the classwork while they're in high school. And I think the greatest success story from that was out of Robeson County. A young man graduated from high school and got a job, $35,000 a year as a firefighter immediately as soon as he had his high school diploma. So I think that's great. Like, classroom to work is fantastic. They then added in EMS so that students can study for the state EMT exam while they're in school. And is it 16 or 18 you have to be to take the exam? 18. So you do have to be 18 to take the EMT exam. But again, they can do all that coursework and everything during high school. They do have law and justice. For those interested in law enforcement, there's a strange law in North Carolina that in order to have a job where you carry a firearm, you actually have to be 20 and a half years old. So that's a little bit of a gap from high school to 20 and a half. But again, they learn a lot, do some classwork while they're in high school. They've now added 911 telecommunications. We have an emergency management curriculum in there now. And CERT is part of the basic curriculum that all students take. If they, in their first year, they have Public Safety 1 and Public Safety 2. And CERT and 911 make up the curriculum for Public Safety 2. So, Earl, to answer your question, about 200 high schools. In fact, I was just looking at this the other day, how many students have completed it. It's just this year, I think we've had close to 300 high school students complete CERT basic training across North Carolina. So that's
Well,
really great.
that's incredible.
Yeah.
So my thing is we need to get them funneled from the high school into our teams.
Yes. So I think that's great. And what I would like to do is be able to put you in touch with the teachers in Cabarrus County who are teaching it. And I just talked to somebody earlier, like a month or so ago, and I copied you on an email. So I hope that you got that if you're using the Concord CERT email, I hope.
I am.
And yes, there are teens that are interested. And of course, my hope too is that those teens are going to go home and talk to their parents about it and get them interested as well. And then we can, come into a community team. I think that would be great.
Right. Excellent.
Yep. Tony wants to know about the upcoming CERTEX. So we do have a CERTEX scheduled for September 30th. It was supposed to be in April, but we had severe weather that day and we had to postpone. So September 30th, at this moment in time, it is full because we want to limit it so we don't have too many people. But I'm guessing as we get closer to the date, we probably will have some folks who cannot come for whatever reason. The class is listed on terms. It's September 30th, and it's just called the CERTEX. So keep an eye on that. You can go on and register for it now. It will put you on the wait list because the class is officially full, but that's okay and actually a good idea because since terms keeps track of when you registered, that means I can put people from the wait list into the class in the order that they registered because I can tell exactly what day and even what time you put your registration in. So that's going to be a lot of fun, and it'll be sort of a CERT Olympics kind of a thing where we have different skills stations that we'll go to throughout the day. We'll be putting people on teams, primarily with people that they already know. So if you're from Cary CERT, we're going to do our best to put you on a group with other folks from Cary. I ended up, when it was going to be in April, I had like 5 teams that were pretty much, you know, local teams that knew each other, but then I had a few stragglers, so I had kind of a random, you know, the team of misfits, if you will, that I kind of put all of them together. So we will see how it shakes out for September. And then Margaret says, one thing I've observed about my CERT is that most of the CERT members are not interested in responding beyond the limits of our area, which means not much support for a state CERT. How do other CERT organizations in North Carolina feel about this? So I happen to know where Margaret lives, and her community is a little more isolated, and maybe that's part of the reason why they don't really want to go farther afield, and that's fine. There's no obligation that says you have to be willing to deploy across the state, because we want you to do what you're comfortable doing.
Apex and Cary have gone.
Yes. But so Margaret's asking, how do you all feel in your local programs about deploying farther afield? Anyone have comments on that? Yeah, well, Jay wanted to say that Apex and Cary have deployed statewide. I see a thumbs up from James and Chatham. Anybody else thoughts about, if you're just in your town, would you want to deploy to another county, another town besides where your CERT is located?
Yeah, this is Tony from Raleigh, sir. We're ready to go out statewide. Some of us, not everybody. So it depends on who you're asking within the group.
Yep.
But we do have some members willing to go statewide.
Great. And I think
and some of us still have kids at home to raise and jobs. But
absolutely.
once those things are done, I would, for sure.
Great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And as we know, one of the things we learn in CERT, and y'all, you know this one, whose safety comes first? Mine, right? So if I have kids at home that I need to stay with, that's got to be my top priority. My family is first, and if everything's okay at my home and I can leave, then I can deploy and go off and deploy statewide. But otherwise, you need to take care of yourself and your family first, and that's 100% fine. What other questions do you guys have? Anything? Anybody doing anything really cool and exciting with their CERT program that you want to tell the rest of us about? I don't know if Melody is here. I'm going to put you on the spot, Melody. Are you ready? See if I can unmute her. Where is she? All right. I just unmuted you, I think. I don't know. There we go. Can you please tell everybody about the teen program that you just wrapped up?
She has no microphone.
Oh, man. Okay. Well, I'll tell you a little bit about it, but I won't do it as much justice as Melody could. So she worked with Melody's in Cumberland County, Fayetteville area, and they have a great teen summer program there. It was a week long, like 5 days long, and it was CERT basic training, but they added a whole lot more to it. And they brought in members from the police department to talk about things like bullying, which is huge for teenagers, and how to stay safe and that sort of thing. I'm not going to hit everything. I should have. Oh, I could bring up her Facebook page. They had the fire department did the same fire that we do in CERT basic training, but so much more. And oh gosh, okay, hang on. I'm going to bring this up because it's really worthwhile to see this. Cape Fear. So they're the Cape Fear CERT, and here we go. Here's her great I tried to share all of these on the North Carolina CERT Facebook page, so hopefully y'all saw them. So let's see, on the first day, the police came and talked about gangs, human trafficking, how to interact with a police officer. And for the CERT curriculum, they did disaster preparedness and CERT organization on that day. And then on the second day, they learned about disaster psychology and terrorism, and some nurses from the local hospital taught Stop the Bleed. They talked about gun safety and other volunteer opportunities in the county, and highway patrol came in. The next day, they talked about teen depression, bullying. They brought an ambulance in so they could see what an ambulance looks like and what all's on it. They learned about how to tie rescue knots. Day 4, they did some search and rescue and hands-only CPR. They spent the afternoon with the sheriff's office special response team. And on the last day, they learned about fire safety. They spent half the day with the hazmat guys and even got to suit up in the hazmat suit. Melody has put this whole thing together. They even gave out gun locks to hand out to the teens from the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office. It's just an amazing program. If you are on Facebook, I encourage you to look up the Cape Fear Community Emergency Response Team, and you can see pictures and a video, and there's all kinds of great info on their Facebook page there, so be sure and check that out. I just huge props to Melody, because that was a major undertaking. I think they had 22 kids in the class, I think is what there were. So yeah, that was great. And I also, I'm going to do this without getting emotional, but Melody is going to be leaving us and moving to South Carolina, and I may just have to pick up and go with her, because I'm not sure I can do CERT in North Carolina without Melody, because she has been such an incredibly hard worker and such a trooper for CERT in this state. And Melody, you and Greg are going to be very sorely missed, but South Carolina is not far away, so you're going to stay in touch. And I just thank you so much for everything that you've done for CERT. Okay, not crying. Persia, did you have your hand up?
Sorry, Sam, I just got excited over the Fayetteville CERT and I got all freaked out and hit the button. Sorry about that. Thanks, Melody.
Yes, it was a wonderful program. I see Andrew helped build a new CERT program in Honduras. You want to tell us something about that, Andrew?
I don't want to get in too much detail about it because it's actually a pretty big piece. I ended up being the contractual director of public safety for an island off the coast of Honduras.
Wow.
And while I was there, we used since they had no public safety training or curriculum, I used the CERT training, the Spanish CERT training, to educate the volunteers, and we had a platoon of Marines in the class. So we trained about 30 people.
Awesome.
And we used CERT as kind of the introduction to public safety, and then we went on into firefighting modalities and things like that. So
that's
between the police and the Marines and the volunteers, we have about 30 people that have been trained, basic trained.
Awesome. I love to hear that. That's fantastic. We do have also coming up on the schedule, I believe it's going to happen in September, and I've been trying to do this for 9 years now. I don't speak Spanish well enough to be a trainer for it myself, but we are finally going to have the first ever CERT training in Spanish in September. So I'm really looking forward to that. We'll have native Spanish speakers who are teaching that. I will probably stop by at some point and say hi and thank everybody, and maybe I can practice enough to at least greet them in Spanish, but I wish that I could teach it. I'm just super excited about finally being able to answer that class.
Where's that going to be taught at?
What's that?
Where's that going to be taught at? In Raleigh?
In Cumberland County.
Cumberland County.
Yep, there's a church there that's sponsoring it.
Excellent.
Yeah. Anybody have any other questions, comments, brags? I love to hear them. Like to know what everybody's up to.
Cary CERT's having their first ever field days on Saturday. Hopefully we won't get rained out. We've got over 40 people signed up now. And it should be fun. We've invited the press and Cary Council and politics and things like that.
Great.
And it's just going to go over radios and a little bit more.
So that the field days, that's a ham radio event. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have one a year because we don't want it to be a radio club, but
Right.
it's still an important part of communication.
Oh, yeah.
CERT.
Yeah, and if y'all are not aware, Cary CERT also sponsors a CERT net once a month, and I've been trying to do a better job about putting that out to everyone too on my email and on the Facebook page for NC CERT. It's the third Thursday, isn't it, Julie, of every month?
Third Thursday of every month, and it's
Yep.
at 7:30.
7:30, and I do have all the information for that if y'all need to know all the, I can't tell you the numbers. I don't do numbers, I'm a word person, but I have all the frequencies and everything if you want to listen in on that. And if you're a ham operator yourself, you have a license, you can also speak on the net, but anybody can listen, even if you don't have a license.
Yeah, I listen through the internet.
Excellent. Yep. So you can listen on Broadcastify,
Mhm.
and that's a good way to do that. Very cool. Well, I don't want to keep y'all too long. I really appreciate you logging on in the evening when you should be eating dinner and spending time with your families and, I don't know, watching Wheel of Fortune. But Pat Sajak is retiring, so it's not going to be the same. But I'm just so grateful for all of y'all and everything that you do for CERT in North Carolina and for your local emergency managers and for us at the state emergency management. I just want you to know that you are noticed and that you are very much appreciated. So thank you all. And let me know what you're up to. Oh, I do see another chat that Bladen County will also be hosting a field day. When is that, Ricky? When is that their field day in Bladen County?
We'll be down there.
Yeah. Oh, it's this Saturday. Great. Awesome. Good. Oh, and I see Elizabeth says she's going to get her ham license. That's wonderful. There are ham radio classes offered across the state all the time. Probably just about every weekend you can find one. We are sponsoring one in Apex at the end of July. I believe it's the last weekend of July. But they're available. They're out there. So if you go on arrl.net, you can find where classes are listed. As always, guys, you can always reach me at my email. Remember, that's cert@ncdps.gov. If I can do anything for you, just holler and let me know. Send me pictures of what you guys are up to. Send me videos. I would like to share those on the NC CERT Facebook page, and you can inspire other CERT volunteers across the state to do the fun and exciting things that you all are doing.
Your trip next week?
I did.
Okay.
Jay wanted me to tell you all about my trip next week, but I already did. I'll be at the National CERT Conference in San Francisco. So I leave next Wednesday, June 28th, and I'll be back July 2nd. I think there will be a link if you guys want to listen into the annual meeting. I can share that by email if you guys want to listen, or join me. I know it's kind of late, but come to San Francisco with me. That would be really fun. And I will have Ghirardelli chocolate. Yes.
Samantha, this is Tony. Did you want an end of the year report from any of us or fiscal year report?
So FEMA likes to have an end of year, but they do it by calendar year. And for those of you, and it should be everybody on this call, that your team should be listed on FEMA's website, that they will ask for an end of calendar year report, and I will send out that information when they're asking for it. But probably like around October, beginning of November is when you want to start compiling that information, and then I'll send out how you submit that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Y'all take care, and thank you again for everything. That's the end of what I had for you. I'll hang out if anybody has questions or anything else. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining me tonight, and I look forward to seeing y'all in person sometime soon. Thanks again, everybody. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Samantha.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Samantha?
Yes.
Yeah, this is Tony again. Look, we're going to be doing the cribbing for the CERT tax coming up.
Yep.
The person handling that has, for some reasons, has plugged out. What are the dimensions for the cribbing material that we're gonna be needing? Because we're gonna make brand new cribbing material.
They're
If
four
the fire department. Go
4
ahead.
inches by 4 inches and 18 inches long. So they're 4x4s, 18 inches.
What about 4x18?
Yep.
Okay,
And
and how
wedges
many
can
do
be
we
nice
need?
to have too, if you have them.
How many of each do we need?
I mean, what do you think?
10,
15?
15.
Yeah, 10 to 15. And then if you even just have like 3 or 4 wedges, that's probably enough.
Is there anything else that you think that we need to bring that day?
You'll need some sort of a lever as well, so a longer lever piece for lifting. And that can be, it can be something like a good stout broom handle or something like that, but you know, something flatter is probably better, but something that's long for levering.
Like a 2x4.
Yeah, 2x4, crowbar, something like that.
Okay.
How about
'Cause
height?
We're
Or is rail
regathering
considered
everything for
dangerous?
that, and we just want to make sure we have everything.
All right, sounds good.
The local volunteer fire department can help him with that too, because they carry that stuff.
That's right.
Well,
Yep.
Raleigh Fire Department, City of Raleigh Fire Department, they're going to be helping us. I just wanted to let them know what we need specifically for
Oh
CERT.
yeah.
So,
They'll know exactly. Just say you want to do a cribbing exercise and they'll know exactly what to bring.
okay.
Yep.
Thank you. It was a great meeting.
Thank you. Mike Elks, did you have something? I thought I saw your square light up.
No, I was just commenting on the lever,
Okay.
but I got what I need. Thank you.
Okay, great. All right. Everybody else good? Hey, Tara. Glad to see you here. I hope retirement is treating you well. All right, guys. I guess I will shuffle off unless my boss has anything further we need to talk about.
No, Sam, excellent meeting. Awesome, awesome stuff.
Thank you very much. Oh, Tara said, oh, good. Easing into it. That's the way to go. All right, y'all have a good night. I'm going to shut it down and let me stop the recording. And recorder. Stop. All right.